Now, fractions, decimals and percentages come up a great deal in maths, and I'm going to show you sort of how to handle them. So let's start with a classic percentage, 10%. 10% as a decimal is 0.1. You can put the 0 there if you like. It helps you kind of link the 10 to the 10 as a decimal, although it doesn't really need to be there. Now as a fraction, 10%, a percent is out of 100, so it's 10 out of 100. But we can simplify that down to 1/10. Now quite often you're expected to use these, convert percentage into decimals, to use your calculator, or to put some fractions and decimals into order by converting them all into percentages or into fractions and so on. So this short video is just going to really show you the key essentials. Now if you know 10%, it's quite easy to get 20%, because 20% will just be double, and it'll be 20 out of 100, and it'll be 2 out of 10. So all of the sort of 10% and multiples of 10% should be fairly straightforward. If we jumped up to 70%, it'd be 0.70, 70 out of 100, which would be 7/10. We can also get 5% fairly easily, 5%, and now we have to have a naught. Okay, after the point we have to have a naught, so we've gone into a single digit percentage, which always requires a 0 here. 5 out of 100, and then you've got to know how many 5s go into 100. Hopefully you know that goes in 20 times, so that's 1/20th. So 25% is something we should know. 25%, 0.25, 25 out of 100, and that's a quarter. Multiples of 25%, so 50%, 0.5 or 50, 50 out of 100, 1/2. And then let's move on to 75%, 3/4, 0.75, 75 from 100, which is 3/4, because 25 goes into 75 3 times, and 25 goes into 100. So let's suppose we're asked to put some decimals and fractions in order. So let's suppose I had 0.6, I had 2/5, I had 70%, and I had 3/4. So we're going to put those into order. Well, if we change them all into either decimals or percentages, perhaps percentages would be easier, we should know that if 0.7 is 70%, 0.6 will be 60%. We should know that 1/5 is 20%. Actually, I didn't simplify that earlier, so let's make sure I do that. So, yeah, 1/5 is 20%. So 2/5 will be 2 20%, which will be 40%. So that's 2 times 20%. Then 70% is already a decimal. And 3/4, again, this is one we've really got to learn. You can't really figure them out. They have to be sort of learned and practiced and used. But 3/4 is 75%. Again, it comes from the 3 times 25%. 25% being 1/4. So they were almost in order. We simply have to swap the 2/5 and the 0.6 round. We can leave the 70% where it was, and the 3/4. So that list there is now in order of size, smallest first. And these are the most common sort of decimals, fractions, percentages that come up regularly in GCSE exams.